for joining us today on Playing the Field. I'm Maria Serrao. Welcome to my house. Now, this is our very first show back since, I guess it was probably March when we did our spring training show, and then everybody's been sidelined by the coronavirus. But not to worry, sports are on their way back. We've got lots of guests on the show today that are going to talk about IndyCar, football, baseball, you name it, we're going to talk about it. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We are now joined by Angel broadcaster and my good friend, Mark Gubicza. Mark, how are you doing in quarantine?
Maria, it's been pretty crazy. My daughter has been out here. She was home here forever for spring break from KU out in Kansas. My son's back home. Me and my wife, my mother and father-in-law from New York are staying with us. So we're really trying to make sure they stay indoors and don't go anywhere, which to older people from New York, it's never easy to do that. So I always keep joking around. We have a sitcom in the making with those two in our house.
That could be a whole other side gig for you, Mark.
Yeah, I know. Might not turn out too well, though.
Okay, Gooby, before we get talking about Angel baseball, which I want to jump into, I saw a video of your son 2 days ago throwing the football, and we're going to show the video from one side of the house into the backyard basketball hoop. Tell us about that.
Yeah, yes, that day he did. It took him like 4 attempts to make that shot, and he's been messing around with it for a few days. I keep saying to Chad, I go, "There's no way you can do this because one, you don't even know where the basket is." So he's in the driveway with a completely blind shot, throwing the ball, and I kind of measured it's close to like 200 feet, and he's just throwing it and praying that it goes in, and when it swished at one time, and I couldn't believe I was going out of my mind. I couldn't believe he made that shot, but he's been bored messing around, and when he threw that, a couple times when he didn't make it, he comes and walking around back from the driveway, and I got to give him the ball back, and I'm only throwing it like 30 feet. My arm is killing me. I said, "Chad, how's your arm not killing you right now?" He goes, "It's just fun. I have to make this shot. I have to make this shot." I'm like, "Chad, it's a 1 in a million shot, and I don't know if you have a million shots in your arm to do it." And lo and behold, he made it. So he's been pretty pumped up about that.
Gooby, how much time were you able to spend in Arizona before we were all shut down?
I was out there. I think I was out in total about 4 or 5 days, Maria. And those days out there, I had so much fun. The energy out there was incredible. I mean, Joe Madden, I remember him. He was my last bench coach before I retired in '97 with the Angels. I always remember that energy. But as a bench coach, you're kind of always wait around, to have your conversations. But as the manager, and I know it was his dream job, and he said that many times to me already, that everybody from Trouty to Pujols to Simmons, Justin Upton, and Anthony Rendon, the energy, they were almost like kids again. They're like their first camp, and it was really cool to see.
I was out there for a few days as well, and I just said the energy, exact same thing. I'm like, it just felt like an invigorated team.
Yeah, I mean, and he had, the big thing is, when we talked about all winter long, Garrett Cole, was he going to sign with the Angels? That didn't happen. They made some moves there with Dylan Bundy and Julio Teheran. But all these guys, when you have somebody so positive around, all the pitchers, they were going to that next level. And I was really excited at the start of the season. And a lot of people are, well, I don't know if they have enough pitching. Their offense was going to be incredible. Their defense, the same thing. Was their pitching going to be enough? And they threw the ball well in Arizona, which is not friendly to pitchers in spring training at all. Not like Florida in spring training. Arizona, way different. And the big thing is now, Shohei Ohtani, when the season starts, will be ready from the get-go. Originally, he wasn't going to be ready till May. Well, we're already in May right now. So, and Griffin Canning, the same thing. So you have a really good depth, which if the baseball season starts up, which I'm real confident that it will, you really need a lot of pitching depth. And that might be 6, 7, maybe 10 different starters during the course of the season. And that's the one thing. They might not have a Garrett Cole necessarily in the rotation, but they have a lot of good depth. And Shohei Ohtani, who knows, could be that Garrett Cole after all.
So, Gooby, they're talking about maybe July with no fans. What is your feeling about playing baseball with no fans? I mean, the TV ratings will be absolutely insane, but what will that be like?
Yeah, Mary, that's a really, really good question. And what I do is every time I think about that question, because, even talking to Trouty about it before we left, because there was rumors about that, no fans, it would be so tough. LeBron James said the same thing with the Lakers. You feed off the crowd so much, but a lot of these guys haven't been that far removed from the minor leagues, where you're playing in some cities where you have maybe 100, 200 fans there at a game. So they're kind of used to it, or they were in college at certain colleges, or even high school baseball where the crowds weren't huge. So I still think once that competitive edge gets going, and they realize how important it will be for the game of baseball to come back and what it's meant to this country. We've seen that before 9/11 on 4th, how
Right.
huge it would be for the players to go back out there and play. I think they realize how important it is for them to go out and to play, because there's a little bit of normalcy for us as human beings and baseball fans and sports fans, or just people in general, to be able to watch something live and think, okay, this will be okay because look, they're playing a sport.
Well, and Gooby, they're talking about the West, the Central, and the East, dividing up 10, 10, 10. I think it would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
What is your feeling?
I love that, because I've talked to a lot of people recently, because I know travel and trying to make sure and having regional rivalries. I mean, can you imagine the Dodgers and Angels in the same division, Giants and A's same division? I thought this was a real strong possibility if everything was normal this time, and they were going to have expansion. I thought maybe Portland becomes a franchise and say Nashville. So then you'd have Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Oakland, us, Dodgers, San Diego, and Arizona. You're talking about some incredible baseball, and you can
Yeah,
keep it regionalized, and travel would be so much better.
that's what I'm thinking as well. But I think that's kind of a fun idea, especially just to, like you said, to get it going and get everybody back.
Yeah, I mean, I think we keep hearing these rumors, and every time you hear a good positive rumor, it gets shot down by somebody. Maybe in June you have that second spring training 2. Boy, I'll tell you what, I can guarantee when you see those guys working out, and they're all staying in great shape. They're not that far removed from spring training. So I think it would be like we did in 95 when we had the strike year. We
Right.
came back and had a shortened spring training, a 3-week spring training, and no one really, had a problem with it. And everyone said, well, whoever wins the World Series feel not as good about winning if it's an 80 or 100 game schedule. Nobody remembers it was a less than 162 game schedule in 95. They won the World Series, and that's what it matters. Winning the World Series didn't matter if there's a few games left.
Now, are you a mask wearer? Are you wearing masks?
Yeah. Every time I go out, it's weird doing that, but I'm thinking, what? And again, I go back to my mother and father-in-law. They're in their 80s, and they have a number of health issues. So I mean, it'd be selfish of me not to. And
Well, I think that, the Angels could do maybe like a giveaway, like maybe like an angel mask.
that would be
What do you
cool.
think?
I've been kind of hoping to find one of them at some point. That would be the best.
Well, we actually have 2 homemade masks for you. I'll make sure that you and your lovely wife have them.
Oh, Maria, I really appreciate that. I really do. That's going to be awesome. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
We have to represent.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Especially up here
So
in the 818, man. We got to do that.
exactly. So, Gooby, you grew up right outside of Philadelphia, yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
In Northwest Philly. Yes.
Yeah, and you and I have never talked about this, but you actually, of course, you're an Eagles guy,
Yes.
right?
Huge. Huge.
I grew up in Thousand Oaks, and back then it was not about the Rams. It was about the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah. Oh. You're not ending this well, are you? Oh, geez. And we were supposed to get that real good young wide receiver, and the Cowboys drafted him in the first round. I'm still not real happy with that. The funny thing, Marie, growing up, my mom was a huge Roger Staubach fan. So, and at that
Wow.
point, the Eagles were really bad. If you remember, there in the 70s, before Dick Vermeil came there from UCLA,
Sure.
they were so bad it was really hard to root for them, because every year they were 2-12. But you were still an Eagle fan, but you had to find another team. And the Cowboys, because of my mom's love for Roger Staubach, so I had cowboy pillowcase, the jacket, the hat. But eventually, I remember in 1980 when Wilbert Montgomery had that great game in the NFC Championship against the Cowboys. And I remember running up and down our street where we lived out in Philly, going crazy as if they won the Super Bowl. They eventually lost to the Raiders that year, but they
Right.
finally beat the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Well, and my next guest actually was my very first co-host, Jerry Robinson, who played in that Super Bowl for the Eagles.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, I have a signed football for my son Chad from him. He met him somehow. They were going through him. I swear, it's upstairs in his room. Oh yes,
Say hi, Jerry. Say hey, Jerry.
Hey Jerry, what's going on? Because from playing with Bo and stuff like that and getting to know Jerry, he's an incredibly nice guy. So that'll be fun.
Thank you so much for jumping on today and spending some time with us. Great to see you, even if we have to do it virtually. But so glad that you did.
Maria, I really appreciate it. Always great talking to you, and I can't wait to see
Yeah.
you down at Angel Stadium before too long, or if we go to Dodger Stadium, wherever it's going to be,
Yeah,
some stadium at
anywhere.
some point. Yeah.
We'll take it for sure.